Alright guys, good morning. Today is Monday, August 26th, 2024 at 06:01. And today we have our day one outlook to look at today. We have a pretty busy day here in the weather world today. We've got a slight risk over here, we have an enhanced risk over here. We haven't seen these in a while. It stretches from a little bit of Nebraska into South Dakota, over into a little bit of Iowa, but mainly Minnesota and Wisconsin. That's our enhanced area. Our slight risk area extends from Wyoming all the way over into Nebraska and South Dakota, all the way down to just a little bit of Colorado, if you can see that, into Iowa, Wisconsin, and Minnesota and North Dakota. Um, and our marginal, our marginal is from Colorado over to Kansas, up into Nebraska, Wyoming, into Montana, both Dakotas, into Minnesota, a little bit of Wisconsin, if you can see that, but mainly their slight is covering that. A little bit of Michigan, Indiana, and Illinois has that as well. We also have this risk area over here in New England, so we got states like Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, a little bit of New Hampshire having a slight, and then this area over here, places like Virginia, D.C., Delaware, Maryland, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York State, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, and a little bit of Maine there, having a marginal risk. So we got a little bit of a pretty, if I can speak, we got a little bit of a busy day here today. Weather-wise, we got Minneapolis, St. Paul, Sioux Falls, Rochester, and Bloomington under an enhanced, Milwaukee, Boston, Madison, Grand Rapids, and Providence under a slight, in New York, Chicago, Philadelphia, Baltimore, and Washington, D.C. under a marginal risk. So let's check today's more in-depth review here of the outlook. So we have a tornado risk here in a little bit of South Dakota and Minnesota. And we got a 2% extending from South Dakota over down into Nebraska, over in Iowa and Minnesota and Wisconsin. So those are our tornado risks today. So cities in the 5% would include Sioux Falls, Watertown, Wilmer, Brookings, and Mitchell. And 2% could be Minneapolis, St. Paul, Rochester, Bloomington, and Plymouth, having a 2%. So 5%, you could see an isolated EF1 tornado. EF0, you could just see, at 2%, you could just see an EF0 tornado possible in the 2% area. Alright, here's where it gets more busy, and it looks like this might be the main threat here. We got a hatched area 30% wind risk. Again, this is over parts of Nebraska, South Dakota, a little bit of Iowa, and Minnesota and Wisconsin here. 15% we got over a little bit of Colorado, but mainly Nebraska over into Wyoming, South Dakota, a little bit of North Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, down into Iowa. So, the 15% area is where that is. And then the 5% area down into Kansas, Colorado, up into Wyoming, out into Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, pretty much Illinois, Indiana, and Michigan, and Nebraska here too, having a 5%. This 5% over here, we got in Virginia, D.C., Maryland, Delaware, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York State, a little bit of Connecticut, Massachusetts, a little bit of Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. And then this 15% here, a little bit of New Hampshire. And then Massachusetts and Connecticut and Rhode Island also have this 15%. So let's see what we've got. So the significant severe, we have Minneapolis, St. Paul, Sioux Falls, Rochester, and Bloomington. We got Minneapolis, St. Paul, Sioux Falls, Rochester, and Bloomington also under the 30%. We got Milwaukee, Boston, Madison, Grand Rapids, and Providence having the 15%. And New York, Chicago, Philadelphia, Baltimore, and Washington, D.C. having a 5%. I definitely would say here, in a hatch 30% area, you could see 60 to 90 mile per hour wind gusts. I am going to have to rule that out. That could be a possibility. And then there is a little bit of a hatched 15%. That could be at like a 60 to 80 mile per hour wind gusts. In the regular 15%, you could see 60 to 75 mile per hour wind gusts. Oop, it never set on me. We're taking so long. 60 to 75 mile per hour wind gusts for the 15%. And the 5%, you could see 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts. So 60 to 75 mile per hour wind gusts is over in this area, but we really could push 90 mile per hour wind gusts out here. So that would not surprise me. Anyway, today's hail threat. We have a hatched 30% here. So basically we have South Dakota, Minnesota having this hatched 30% here. We got this 15% that extends from Wyoming through South Dakota, Nebraska, a little bit of Iowa, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. And then we have this 5% hail risk that extends from a little bit of Colorado through Nebraska, Wyoming, Montana, South Dakota, North Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, down into Iowa. So we also have this one over here that extends from New Jersey, New York State, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine having this 5%. And then we got a little bit of Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island having this 15%. Also, just a little bit of Vermont, if you do see that. So today we've got a significant severe for Sioux Falls, Aberdeen, Watertown, Wilmer, and Brookings under a significant severe. We got Minneapolis, St. Paul, Sioux Falls, Bloomington, and Plymouth having a 30%. We got Boston, Providence, Worcester, Springfield, and Hartford under a 15%. In New York, Newark, Jersey City, Yonkers, and Paterson, New Jersey, under a 5%. So, definitely in this hatch 30%, you could see hailstones of maybe even grapefruit size. I'm going to have to push that out as well. We could see very, very large hail with this system that's going to go through there. So 30%, we could see 1 to 4 inches of hail. And then the 15%, we could see 1 to 3 inch hail. And then 1 to 2 inch hail could be the 5% area. Same thing out here. We could mainly see 1 to 2 inch hail for this area here in New England. But we could even be pushing 1 to grapefruit-sized hail. Quarter to grapefruit-sized hail could be possible, especially in this red hatched 30% area. But everything else, it could be 1 to 3 inch hail or 1 to 2 inch hail. So anyway, here is the Storm Prediction Summer's summary. We might have another reset here in a second, so we'll see what happens with that. Anyway, severe storms are expected to evolve within a zone extending from the northern and central high plains eastward to Wisconsin this afternoon into tonight. Large to very large hail, a few tornadoes, and swaths of severe, potentially damaging gusts are expected, especially across South Dakota into Minnesota. A few severe storms producing strong gusts and hail are also expected across southern New England. So this is going to be a pretty busy day today, y'all. I'm pretty busy. I have work today, so I won't be able to update you on anything else, really. So there's today's hail risk, today's wind risk, today's tornado risk, and our overall day one outlook. So I do really hope you stay weather aware and stay safe. If there are any updates, I won't really be able to update you because I will be at work. So you're going to have to rely on someone else to have this updated information. But this is what I have for now. I really do hope you stay weather aware, stay safe. It's probably going to be a pretty busy weather day today. And pretty severe storms. Really very, very severe. So please be mindful of that. Make sure you have multiple ways of getting notified of either a NOAA weather radio or your cell phone or your TV outlet or whatever you use for news sources. Highly recommend that. So anyway, that is our weather day for the day. I promise tomorrow is not that busy. We still have a busy day tomorrow. Stay weather aware, stay safe, and that's going to be it for today's severe weather day.